Hi. So recently, I just found out that September is both Dementia Awareness Month and Sickle Cell Disease Awareness Month. And so I thought, well, there's been a double header, and the fact that these are the two diseases or conditions that we focus on the most at Brain and Body Foundation, I thought we should do a quick talk about it. So here goes. Let's start with sickle cell disease. So sickle cell disease is a genetic disorder that affects the blood vessels, that affects the red blood cells and the blood vessels and other systems in the body. Most people with sickle cell disease in Nigeria and other parts of other parts of Africa tend not to do well. In fact, in Nigeria, 50 to 75% of them will die by their fifth birthday, will be dead by their fifth birthday. And then I guess another like 90% will be dead by their 30th birthday. Most will not see their 40th birthday, which is a terrible, terrible. In my opinion, it's a disaster. Anyway, so the standard approach to sickle cell disease is basically what I call managing around the weakness or managing around the weakness of the individual. So with sickle cell disease, they're advised to stay away from strenuous activities, to stay away from extremes of temperature, cold, hot heat. Don't stress yourself. Don't exert yourself too much. Take a lot of water, take medications. Again, don't stress yourself. Don't go to school if you don't have to, and so on and so forth. And so these kids grow up being sheltered, so to speak. And you can see that it's a really, really restricted life. And some of them is really warranted because any small exertion and they can just have a crisis. And we can talk about what a crisis looks like, but it's a really bad thing. And so that's the standard thing. So the standard treatment or standard maintenance drugs are just giving them folic acid and antimalarials to keep them from having infections and also to help hopefully stimulate the production of new red blood cells because they tend to lose a lot of red blood cells. It's in the name, sickle cell anemia. So they are very low in red blood cells. Our approach at the Brain and Body Foundation, when we began to look at things from a building strength perspective, and that's our whole shtick, we focus on strength, seeing where the weaknesses are, identifying the weaknesses, and then seeing what we can do to strengthen or offset those weaknesses. One of the things we found out with sickle cell disease is that the immune system is weak, almost invariably. And so we thought, what are the simple ways we can adopt or simple approaches to improving the immune function? And so that's what we did. We found out, first of all, we found some very expensive drugs, supplements. We don't use drugs or medications, we use supplements and nutraceuticals. And they worked. And so that opened our eyes. And we're like, okay, what can we do? What is something that's even cheaper that we can use? And so we found out that the combination of vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc can be used. And so we had a company in India make it. We shipped it to Nigeria, and we've been giving it, sending it all over the country in Nigeria. And it has worked far beyond our expectations, especially for younger kids below the age of 10. So working really well. It's not just supports the immune system, but it helps in all them overall. And of course, if you support the immune system, especially with a weak immune system, you should see results. So that's without going too much into it, that's the whole idea. Is like, look at rather than just managing around a weakness, what can we do? What can we do to increase strength in an individual? And we use that to illustrate sickle cell disease. Now let's go over to dementia. So with dementia, obviously there's no treatment right now. Many treatments have failed, primarily because they target what are known as the amyloid plaques and the tau tangles. The problem with that is that that's only a small piece, a tiny piece of the overall puzzle. And I'll probably put out a poster showing all the different things that are going wrong in the brain of an individual with Alzheimer's disease. This includes inflammation, oxidative stress, thiamine deficiencies, problems with clearance of toxins and removal of wastes from the brain, and so on and so forth. About 12 or 13 I was able to identify. It's probably more than that. So just focusing on that one problem is an issue. But back to weakness. So when a person develops symptoms related to dementia or Alzheimer's disease, there's no medication or there's really no treatment that can help restore a person's memory. There's nothing, there's no drug you're going to give them that's going to say, take this and your memory is going to be restored. Instead, or the doctor or the psychologist, psychiatrist suggest ways of managing around that weakness, having nice memory cards, using your calendar more effectively, maybe using your GPS if you're having problems with navigation. So basically, they tell you how to make accommodations for your failing memory. And the more it fails, the more accommodations obviously you have to take advantage of. Now, in a developed country like the US, the social structure is so good that the government and other private institutions can step in and help to take care of you or your loved one dealing with the disease. That is not obtainable in most parts of the third world countries, certainly not in Nigeria. And so people have to fend for their loved ones themselves. So again, our approach with dementia is to say, well, what does the brain need to be healthy, functional, and strong? And see what we can do. And I'm not too, I'm not trying to aim at the moon right now or shoot for the stars. I'm just my goal is what can we do to improve this person by 25%? I mean, to me, that's reasonable. That's a huge leap, but 25% is reasonable for me. What can we do to help them live more independently? Where can we start? What nutrients do their brains need? How can we feed the brain? Because we know for a fact that there's diminished energy supplies. There's also diminished, like I said, there's increased inflammation and oxidative stress and so on. And so what can we do to strengthen the brain? We know that nutrients play a huge role. And looking at the brain, we know that omega-3s are important for brain structure and repair. We know that certain proteins are important for the neurotransmitters. We know that certain vitamins, like the B vitamins, are extremely important. I mean, if we start with those very, very basic things, and don't forget water, we start with those very basic things, these things can be used to help strengthen the brain. So again, rather than just cower and say there's nothing we can do, we can just manage around the condition. Let's flip it and start asking questions about what can be done to strengthen the brain. Same thing with sickle cell disease, like I said. And we've proven this over and over again at the Brain and Body Foundation that if you start thinking about things from that perspective, it will be more empowering for sure, for one. And number two, you will begin to see results. And we have seen a lot of results, really good results, both in the dementia space and the sickle cell disease space. So if you want to find out more, just follow us, obviously, and then reach out. We really want to reach into more of African countries to really address these conditions, because I got to tell you, they're just getting worse and worse, especially dementia. Dementia is exploding all around the world, and especially in third world countries, where unfortunately, we don't have the neurologists, the psychiatrists, the brain health specialists to take care of it. So we've got to, in my opinion, start thinking about approaches like I just described. All right, take care. If you have any questions, again, reach out to us. Let's work together and let's make Africa healthier, brain healthy for one. Take care. Bye.